everyone, it's Anya here. I'm back with another video for Ophelia Crafts. So today we are going to talk about the stamping technique you need for the flower, the lotus blossom from the celebration. This stamp set is part of my Get Stamping Club for February, and I am going to show you how you put your flower together. The way you put your cards together is fairly simple. These are full mats on top of a colored card. This one is a square mat, and this here I decorated straight onto the card. I just stamped all these like that, and then here we have an edge. So my piece of watercolor paper was not as wide as the card. I put an edge here which I made with the solid stem image. So I just stamped it up. I went into the mossy meadow and did 3 stamps each time. So you have a full first generation, second generation, first generation, second generation, third generation stamp. Okay, so that's how I went about doing that. The bows, I've done these in a previous video, and this one here is the punch that we used. Oh goodness me, that seemed to be my my phone going off there. This is a punch that we used in last month's Get Stamping Club, so you should have that if you were part of that. Right, so that's a background for those cards, and I was going to show you how to do the flowers, so let's get on with doing that. So we have our piece of watercolor paper, we have our stamp set, and there is actually instructions in there, even though you might not realize it. On here there are 3 flower images, and there's a 1, a 2 and a 3. So what you do is you stamp them in that direction. This one you stamp first, then you stamp this one, and then you stamp the solid image. But you have to stamp off as well. So this one is the first generation, this one is a second generation, and this one is a third generation. So this straight off the ink pad onto the paper. This is the second stamping, this is the third stamping, so 1, 2, 3, yes? And what you could do is do these in the same colour and this in a third colour, so we'll have a look at doing that. And what I've also done is 1, 2, 3, 4, so I've also gone back to number 2. But what I also did was add my water, and that's why we're using watercolour paper, so that the paper can cope with the water. Right, less talking, more action. Okay, now these arrows, what else can you do with them? If you point those arrows in the same direction, you're going to have your image in the same place each time. Okay, so let me just zoom this in for you, because I think you'll need it. Okay, so what I do is I'm going to get a pencil and I put a dot. Let's put a dot here and let's put a dot there. What I do is I'm going to point my arrow. Can you see the dot? I'm going to point my arrow towards the dot. Yes, can you see it? And then if I do that each time, and if I do that with the other ones as well, it should all line up a lot easier. Okay, let's get started. We have here the first one, so with the least image, the smallest stamp, and I've inked it up, and I'm going to point the arrow to the dot. Okay, second one, point the arrow to the dot. Okay, that's that one. Then we have number 2. Again, this is number 2, so that means second generation. So you ink up, you stamp off, and you then point your arrow to the dot. You still have to make sure that you're lining up properly, but putting that near the dot will help you. Okay, sorry, I'm off a bit there because obviously I'm not leaning over it. It's so much easier if you can lean over. Let's see if I can lean over a little bit here. Where is my dot? Okay. See? Okay, so that's the second one. Third one. Okay. This is a full image. Why am I getting the ink everywhere when I'm filming? So we need to stamp off. Then I'm going to spray with water. I'm not going to do it above my paper. I'm just going to do it away from everything. It looks like there's no ink left. Let me just test. Oh, there is ink left. Sorry, that was a... See, I've been using Blackberry Bliss on there. It does stain my the photopolymer. There's nothing wrong with the you know, with the stamp. It's just makes it look as if there's no ink on there. See? Sorry, I should have... Okay, let me just spray on it. From a distance, you spray on it so there's some water on there. And then you point that arrow towards the... and you put it on. Stay there. Stay there. And find yourself a brush. Take off the stamp and go in with your wet brush and just gently go over it. That should be okay. Okay, next lot. Ink up and stamp off, stamp off. We're going to spray. Let me just see if I can do it in the camera. I don't want to get it on the... Is this in the camera? Yeah. Oh, I'm always spraying next to it as well. Okay, everything went flying then. Okay, so there we are. And put your arrow near the point and try and get it. You can actually see the water moving over your image. And then you might need to go over it with your wet brush just to brush it in. But that's basically the way I did it. Now, if you think this is too watery for you, you can actually go over it again with the second one without stamping off. Or with, no, let's see if we can do it with this one. Maybe that will bring in some detail. You can do it with the second one, but you can also do it with the first one. See, that brings out the definition again. Let's do the first one. So I'm not stamping off this time. Is it dry? You do have to wait for it to be dry because otherwise it'll bleed. So the point here is that we want to create some detail on top. See? That's going to give you a lot more dimension than the other one. See, I like that because you have the leaves come out a lot sharper than the other images. So this is how I went about creating all these ones. And this one here, I put a lot more water on, and that made it a lot more watery. But I used two colours here. So here I used, to start with, I used the Tangelo Twist. Then the solid image was the Hello Honey, and this one here is Blackberry Bliss. But I find that Blackberry Bliss does give you that second colour if you water it down quite a lot. So the last stamping with the solid one, because I added water, it turned pink. Turned more pink, and then I put another when it was dry I went over it again with the first one, I think, yeah, with the first one, so that gave it a little bit of dimension there. Here I did the same, but I went over them with the second one again, and this one here is again Blackberry Bliss, but like I said, it waters down to pink. And I didn't like that so much, so I waited for them to dry, and I put another layer of Blackberry Bliss on you know, first generation stamping with this one, so it gave you that more definition. Then for the stem, we're going to use Mossy Meadow because that's what's in the pack. We have the ink colours, the pads and the paper in our pack. So this one, you stamp it off. This is a solid one, and I find there is a point there, and I think that just fits in between those leaves here. See? So you stamp it off, and then you do this one here as well. Right, and then let me just take that one off, and then you take the structured one, and again that also has the little point, and this time we're just going to stamp it down without stamping it off, and that creates that second layer and color difference. Okay, so all you need to do now is get rid of the points. So do make sure you have something that you know you can get rid of, or even, you know, cut it off there and use that as a mat for on your cards. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you will try it, and hopefully you will be interested in joining my Get Stamping Club. Normally I do a video for every card, but because these cards are quite similar, I thought I would just explain to you how I did the stamping, because really this is all about the stamping this month. The cards are fairly simple. I did that on purpose because I wanted to concentrate on doing the stamping and the effect that the triple stamping can have, basically. So I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!